a new tape, and it's going to start on October. What is this? October the 8th. Okay, Thanksgiving Monday. Okay, hold it. We got to do that again. Okay, Crouching Tiger. Yeah, Crouching Tiger is Jared Valerius, right? Keyboard. Keith Rogers on the keyboard. Denny Farley guitar, to the right of him. Brett Purdy drummer. Carol LaFleur singer. Don Kent bass, and Lance Jones saxophone. Yep. And everybody was in the original chants except for Mr. Kent. Yeah, and Mr. Purdy, but they were in lots of bands around town, like the Saints. They were in the Saints at the time. And
So Dan Worthy.
That's what.
Well, they are.
Yeah, now they are.
Yeah. And they're wonderful musicians. And
they were the days. Those were the days of the bands. Eh?
Those are the days, but there was usually a dance every Friday night and every Saturday. The Teen Town Dance would go on Friday, and then if you didn't have enough, Northern Center or Cherry Creek College usually had dance.
Did Satch actually come up with a date of when they closed it down?
It was 67 or 8, I think, somewhere in there. But Archie's and Nolly's the guy in the last year, and I'm going to try to get a little interview with him and do a thing.
Okay. So when they picked the people to be part of the committee, they would have done some from Port Alberni, some from Alberni at the time, right? Because even though the vote for amalgamation had been passed, amalgamation wasn't taking place for a couple of years yet. Jim Sawyer explained all of that political part. But I just wondered, and maybe a lot of people said, well, like, how did Jack Seymour, you worked for the school board, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. How did you happen to, I know they went to take neutral sort of people.
Well, I just volunteered. Other than that, I don't remember.
Because they get quite a mixture of people, right?
Yeah. Eventually, the ones from Spruce Lake Regional District, Beaver Creek Regional District, came in with us. The one on the hill there,
Cherry Creek went on their own.
what else is it called besides Cherry Creek?
Beaufort?
Yeah.
Beaufort region?
They wouldn't come in.
Okay. So this was just for the Centennial Project, right? Didn't they I read somewhere where Cherry Creek decided they would do their own celebration. And then I think Spruce Lake opted out later on. Beaver Creek, one of the two opted out, I think, later on. But everybody else sort of got on board. And then it was, well, you know the history better than anybody. It was sort of a battle as to what project was going to be done.
Beaver Creek came in with us. Cherry Creek.
And there was a whole lot of different suggestions for the project, right?
Yeah. One picture there, or Simon project, we were picking.
Who's in this? What pictures are these, Jack, right here? It's something to do with schools.
Yeah,
That's something different. Okay. A lot of people forgot that you were a bus driver, a school bus driver back in the day.
I was a supervisor then.
Yeah?
I was a bus driver till 61.
Okay, till 61?
From 47 to 61.
Yeah.
Then I was a supervisor. That was in 67.
Okay. And that's when you went over to maintenance? Or to, like, actually just working in the schools, like, right? Yeah. So how many years altogether were you with the school district?
37.
Yes, no sugar, please, no. So you saw a lot of people come and go through the school district, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this picture I've seen before. This was in a brochure somewhere. The archives. Yeah. That must have been quite, you know, you remember the highlights of when they built the high school and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was aboard when they built the high school. In fact, all the new schools, Wood School, Calvary School, the only school I was in with was Alberni Elementary.
Yeah, they redid that in 1950, I think, didn't they? Yeah. Yeah.
Picture here where we were signing for the project.
Okay, I'm going to come past that. No, I don't think I've reached that one.
Maybe in there.
Further on down.
No, they're signing right there. Any of my picture there, Joe?
Yeah, that's something different to that one. It was quite the big staff, though, of custodians in that, I mean, in the whole district at that time. We had a lot of schools then. People forget that.
We had 26 schools in 1970.
That was the peak, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We amalgamated with the West Coast.
Yeah. So you added a few schools there, or did that include the, no, that's the stuff I brought, it's not there. I don't think it's in, there's nothing under here. No, it's got to be further on in the book here, Jack. I had that one, yeah, yeah. And that's a good picture. But I remember the first one I got was when it was taken at Woodward's parking lot where the food floor went. There were 3 buses there. Yeah, those are good. I don't know whatever happened to those. I think when our computer crashed, we lost a few of them. This one I've seen in brochures and that, yeah. Yeah, that's a good picture though, you know, because it shows the school. That's 1948, yeah. I remember that lady there. But that's about, I don't think that's the same thing. But here you got all the schools when they opened officially. This is good. Yeah, well, that's really good. Obviously, you were a big curler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever curl at the old Remy Hall when they turned it into a curling rink? Is that right?
Yep.
That was quite a disaster when it burned down in the middle of a tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What year was that?
1961 or 2. I read off the top of my head if I remember. Yeah, because they opened it up just over a year when they put the curling club and the arena together. They passed the referendum, and of course they didn't spend enough money and make the ice arena as big as they should have.
That's the same with the pool.
Yeah,
To cut back on the pool.
yeah. Yeah, there was a shortfall. I should have brought that piece of paper that had, like you remember when they were, Russell and Brewster had the spades in the ground and everybody was standing around and they had the big sign there when it was in January of 67 when they were breaking ground for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in that picture too. Did you ever save a lot of these pictures over the years, like out of scrap photo albums or anything?
This is it.
Oh, hey, this is more than what some people have, you know? Yeah.
It's got a lot of stuff.
It's up here. I gotta get it out of there. Well, the official openings just going to take this down. The official opening at Mount Cliffs School, just for people who don't, I'd like to argue and not to recall, it was Tuesday, April 20th, 1971 at 7:30 p.m. Beaver Creek Elementary was January 8th, 1965. And there's a date stamped here, Jack, that says March 19, 1965 underneath there. What would that mean? Right here. Well, 1965, it doesn't seem that long ago, but it's like 43, almost 43 years ago, yeah. Oh, I know. Jack Goodall was chairman of the board of trustees. Yeah, Alice Chico hasn't been here as long as I thought. Oh, that one there was, okay. Okay. Yeah, well, tell us a little bit about that one. How did everybody feel at that point? I mean, that was it. That was the project?
Yeah.
This is the one that we finally settled on, right?
Right. Yeah. Before they had talked of having a pool up at ADSS, that was when they finally got ruled out. We went back to this. That was our first choice, is where it is now.
Fourth choice. First. Oh, the location?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
We had looked at the bottom of 10th Avenue field,
Okay.
and also ADSS. When the pool was, they had the track up there.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
So everything's sort of together, but having a community center up in that area too, or was that looked at?
What was thought about, they originally stayed with the first down by the Wall Street.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that they were looking at. I knew that there was some talk of putting a pool. There was always talk of a pool, wasn't there? I mean, everybody sort of wanted that. One thing that people liked was an indoor pool. But they had all kinds of other projects that, and of course, the people in Alberni, if you read through the information, they voted in favor of it. It was the people in Port Alberni that didn't want to spend the money.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, the way Jim Sawyer tells it, it was because of the fixed assessment was coming off of M&B, and Port Alberni was about to come into a whole lot of money. Alberni wasn't going to get any of that. And, you know, that would have caused a whole lot of problems down the road. And, well, you know yourself, if you look back, Alberni wouldn't have survived.
No. I'm sure that's a lot of people are using Echo Center today. It's fantastic.
It's tremendous. That's what I'm writing. I'm saying, look, regardless of what you thought 4 years ago, that proved to be the ideal project.
We have 180 people playing crib Monday afternoon. We have as high as 46 tables of crib. That's fantastic. 180 people.
Not this year.
Well, not this year, it was down to 37.
2 years ago.
We had 40, 43, and 46.
So crib's still popular.
Oh, yeah. I upped it. I don't remember here last year. Nobody, you know, that's for the year.
Yeah. That's the 12 here.
And then they get prizes.
But prior to that, there really was no place like Echo Center in either Alberni or Port Alberni. There were some malls, right? But nothing like a community center. And people, I noticed that people who were fighting for it, like Kay Pickles and them, in those days, they were older and they were afraid that if it wasn't accepted, then there'd be a big gap before people realized that there could be another opportunity to build a community center. Not just, it was sort of a senior citizens activity center, community center, pool combined, right? There was a heavy accent on seniors. Yeah. And they knew the demographics because all these people were going to get older faster than come up, maybe. So it turned out to be quite a bonus as far as 100 years. Well, that's really interesting because I didn't know that, and I don't think it's been in there. I don't think it's been in any of these stories. So how did that make you feel that you knew you could use the pool for 100 years?
That was really great. I just wish I had continued to use it.
Did you go out?
I did,
Did the other members of the committee, how did they feel about it when they got that?
yeah. They were quite impressed. Lucky to get 40 years out of it.
Well, you're not doing too bad.
It's going to be 88.
Well, there you go. But if you hadn't been too much older, you wouldn't be here today telling me about it. Yeah, well, that's right. Well, even Hutchie, he wasn't that old at the time. He's now in his 80s. He's going to be, Ken Hutchison, he's going to be mid to late 80s now. But he just doesn't seem to want to talk about anything.
Was that young Ken Hutchison's father? That?
Yeah, probably would have been. He came here in 1947. Yeah, himself. And I said the radio station was heavily involved in this whole thing. And he goes, well, what are they doing? And he thought I meant the radio station now. They're not doing nothing, so we can't talk about that because he does not like to talk about that. Yeah. This is the Victoria one. I remember president of the Dogwood Trader Club. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's just some other stuff. Yeah. When did they shut the Echo pool, the outside pool down, do you recall? Some copyright started, I think it was 1950, 51 in the summer. Yeah, the one they had at Rick Park, the outdoor pool. And it was well used over the years. And then it just got, it got to the point where they just shut it down. I mean, it was shut down since I've been here in 67. But I can't recall, people don't seem to recall when it was actually closed. But I think it was a question of liability at the end.
It was open in 66, I thought it was 67.
Oh yeah, it was open then. It was open then when I came here, but it was shortly after that. It must have been in the 70s that they shut it down.
Probably after it.
Could have been. Yeah, could have been a while. That would have been maybe one of the reasons. But it was, I think it was a question of cost. So it seems to me in my mind, I remember a liability issue coming up. But you're right, they probably wanted to invest like physical problems with it. Yeah, that's right. But I know the committee got a choice. Let me talk about that for a second, Jack, if you don't mind. But the name they came up with. I know what Mrs. Barrett said to the paper at the time. But I'm just wondering what you recall about how they picked the name. They had over 2,000 entries. They said in the paper from kids. He came up with a really good politically sounding explanation in the papers about the name they sounding name, the reason for it. Well, 10-year-old kids are going to come up with that kind of stuff. But she did say, on behalf of the committee, and I'm assuming it's Mrs. Barrett that said it, they don't name her directly. They thought the name was great because it was short. It covered, when they put the content out, they wanted a name that would cover the pool and the activity center, the community center. And a lot of people sent in names that would be good for just the pool, but 80% of them was for the pool only. So this was a short name that couldn't be abbreviated, and they felt it wouldn't be, you wouldn't copy any other name of any other centennial project, because there were a lot of projects going on across the country for 100 years. So that was a good, but it's amazing how a simple name like that, they dropped the 67 off the name after a few years because it was just too long. It was Echo 67 Center, it didn't mean anything then. So, but it's nice how the name has stood up and actually describes the whole area now. Yeah. Did you ever think it? What did you think of the name when they picked it? Recall? Okay. Sure now. Yeah. Yeah. When you look back on
that part, something was set up like now, many tournaments, swim tournaments, no end.
without, never mind just the cool part, without the Echo Center, we wouldn't have the Sunshine Club. And the Old Age Pensioners Organization, I know they were in town, like Mrs. Nichols and that, but the Sunshine Club wasn't formed because there was no place for them to get together to do the first time. Yeah. I think Archie Hamburg told me the other day there's about 1,300 members. They're not all paid up right now because this is a new year, but there's over 900 there. He says 1,300. Yeah. And that has just been like he came right out and said if it hadn't been for Echo Center, so it wouldn't have been a yeah. So, and those are people who were 40 years younger at the time. You know, a lot of them. They only have, I think they have a couple of, they have a couple of members who were relief members, but they were in their 30s when Sunshine Club was formed because you could join because their parents were seniors and they joined them. That's the only reason why there's a couple around today that, you know, yeah. So it was kind of neat. You had, after being part of this whole thing, you then could sign up as your senior and then get into the Sunshine Club and use what you had played a part in putting it together. You like living up here? Well, mind you, G.W. Gray was on the board for a long time, so he probably hired a lot. When did you get hired? In 1948.
I started work for the board the week before, January the 1st, 48.
Okay.
What happened? Sandy Forbes quit because he wanted the board to let him take the bus home so he could go down to Peter Creek to then anyway, they hired the guy from Coastlines, they phoned down for a reference, and the manager at the Coastlines would recommend him. So, on his own other applications, so that's how I got the job.
So the guy you gotta thank, besides Sandy Forbes, is the guy who managed the coach rides who didn't give the other guy a reference. Whoever that is, thank you very much.
Sandy drove for the Coastlines too.
Oh,
Before the old school bus.
okay. Well, I knew Sandy was one of the whole Forbes family was one of the first families I met when I was here in town. And I could see, I could just see Sandy standing there telling the guy that just the way he was. Yeah. But I know Jeanette Salzman, who's one of his daughters, she worked at the radio station with us for quite a while. She told me, she brought in a photograph of him in the bus. Yeah, she said he was one of the first, if not the first school bus driver in town. Yeah. And he had the radio on his bus, so the kids could listen to the radio.
How come that paper was here about it? I read in the Pennyworth there this morning that he had telling about the radio in the bus. Did you have that stored away somewhere?
I wrote about that quite a while ago, yeah.
And this is me.
Yeah, this is October. But every day runs together. So that was, you actually started in January of 19...
January the 1st of 48. They had asked me to go up to the bus garage and familiarize myself with the bus and go on. Wait between Christmas and New Year's. And I didn't get paid for that, but I got started January the 1st of 48.
That was your first official day. New Year's Day. Hey, can you imagine just sitting there listening to you run off the qualification? Yeah, you could legally, you could never do that. They say you have to own your own property, be married, you couldn't get away with that kind of stuff. That blows me away that they got away with it then.
Yeah.
Wow. Isn't that something? You drove bus until you went into the maintenance department or service department. When was that? Okay. So shortly after that picture was taken of you with the bus drivers, that would have been taken in probably the fall of 1960 or the spring of 61 for their annual, for the yearbook. Yeah. So 61 you went into the maintenance. Was that would have been considered obviously a promotion? Yeah.
Took me out of the union.
Oh, okay. Major management. Hindsight, was that a good move?
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you had, you wouldn't have been involved in it.
For a year to get me out of the union.
Really?
Well, the union wouldn't let me go. And the board insisted on it. Boy, Biggs was on the board at that time.
Ferdinand Biggs.
They always seemed to come up there in the shop.
Yeah.
Just go out there for coffee.
But Mr. Gray never personally ever had anything to do with you, as you are aware of. He was around for a long time.
Yeah.
He was one of the longest serving trustees of the school board. They had a lot of people that stuck with the school board over the years. Yeah, now they're all gone. The school district shrunk. Yeah. Like you were saying, there were 70 schools at one time. Or no, how many schools did you say? In 1970.
26 schools.
All total.
I had 50 employees working for me.
In 1970. At the peak of the... And then we started to get into the declining